Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sphere of Success, which is the podcast that's all about looking at business challenging times and circumstances and adversity and reframing that through the lens of curiosity, of how can we learn from this, of the fact that we're not victims, life happens for us rather than to us, and how can we grow if necessary, how can we pivot, have innovation, have creativity around these thorny issues that we face. Sometimes we know that we can have a hand in them. Sometimes they come completely out of left field. And it's how we look at that and become agile, resilient, and know that there is a purpose that we can get out of every single challenge that presents itself. And maybe with the benefit of hindsight, look back and go, you know what, that was one of the best things I've ever done. So, yeah, the harder the challenge, the bigger the outcome. Brilliant. Love it. And today I have Mick Seddon. He is the CEO of Green Accountants. He is also co-founder of the Sustainability Suite. And Mick knows from the sharp end how challenges around climate change, sustainability, that ongoing piece that we've had the drum banging on for a few years, but still lots of small to medium-sized enterprises have yet to actually get involved or could be doing more within this. Could be seen as a bit of a headache for a lot of people, but he's here to take people through the process. I have to say, in a way, which is just a riot. It's just brilliant. He's very, very learned. He understands how people can get hung-ups. Change is never an easy process, but it's something which, through Sustainability Suite and Green Accountants, you really can see an outcome which you know that you can work towards and achieve. So, welcome, Mick. It's wonderful to have you on the Sphere of Success
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you, Deborah.
It's a pleasure. And we have spoken before because Mick has come on to our sister podcast as well, Sphere of Being. And it's very much how he captures the hearts and minds of the people that he's assisting. One of the things I'd like to talk about actually now as we go into this subject is what kind of challenges and issues are the clients that you're working with? What kind of issues are they facing that make them think, yeah, we've got to be in touch, we've got to start working with you?
I think some of them have had exposure already to the changes in the marketplace. So it may be that they supply into the public sector or the NHS, and they need to meet the terms of the contracts or the framework procedures, which under the public procurement system have a question that's been in there since 21, which is, do you have a carbon reduction plan? And the answers are yes and no, and therefore pass and fail. And now, even more people are coming into that net because those companies have been required to assess the carbon reduction plans of their suppliers, which face the same challenges. And or the question is actually, have you assessed your suppliers? And the answers are yes or no. And you have to provide evidence of this. And it's a pass fail option as well. So you choose as a business whether you want to pass or fail. And if you choose the pass option, it means you've got to have a carbon reduction plan and that you're going to be able to share it. So you can't just make something up or rely on AI because you have to provide the evidence. So we're working with businesses that are dealing with that. And that's one of the ways, and there are others, but that's one of the ways that it's people are being exposed to it. The the rest are really where they haven't had something so direct and so blatant that it's a yes no and perhaps an end of business question because that's the extreme case. And I think that's the big challenge for us is to educate our clients to get ahead of something that isn't currently a problem. It's on the horizon and it will become a problem in time because climate change isn't going away. And even if there was an off switch, the whole movement of climate change and doing business better has such momentum that it will continue. And we can all see that it's a better way of doing business. So those clients who are not directly impacted yet will be. And what we're doing is saying, get ahead of the game, get yourselves prepared. And if you're asked about your carbon footprint and your carbon reduction plan, if you've got 3 years evidence of improvements that you've made, you're more likely to score those additional points that come into the frameworks because of the work that you've done. Or if you're having a conversation with somebody who's how green are you and prove it to me. If you've been doing this for a longer time period, then I'll go green now and I'll make something up because it's an immediate response required. There's an obvious difference. And therefore we're encouraging businesses that aren't being forced to change, but we want them to change now because that just makes good business sense. Plan ahead. There's a changing market, and this is your chance to be different.
As innovators and the people who are on the leading edge of what you're doing with the sustainability suite and green accountants, what was it and why did you adopt this as early adopters in your particular businesses?
Uh, Two reasons, really. One was the business sense, and the other is the personal. So the business sense says that if you're looking forward for the next 3 to 5 years, which is the norm for a business to look forward, and you're looking at things that are going to change or have an impact on your business, then you got to include those global megatrends of AI and climate change. They're not going away. And so the one that we specialize in is climate change and the response for that. And you do very well to the last 5 years, I think, completely ignoring climate change. That maxim that we have of the three types of businesses, the going green, sorry, the born green, the going green, and the going bust. And I think there will come a time for everybody when it's a question of going bust or do something becomes your only option. And and that's why we think from a business sense, just get on and do it. You're going to have to do this at some point, and the thing you're going to do is going green, which I use as a catch-all phrase that includes the whole ESG sphere, the environmental, the social, and the governance. But just do it because you're going to have to do it at some point. Take advantage of being an early adopter. And the other thing that drives me on this is the discussions that I had with my daughter, who was talking. We were talking about business planning, and she said, "With the way that the world is going, I just don't feel comfortable bringing a child into this world." And so she was working with us at the time, and then went off instead to join the army, Sandhurst and the Royal Engineers, so that she could be there for the humanitarian crisis. And there's an awful lot of them. And we're seeing increasingly the weather having an impact. Longer term, as climate change really takes hold, and if we can't limit to below 2 degrees, then we'll be having an awful lot more of those kinds of incidents. And they'll be long term damage, perhaps irreversible damage, is the better description. And and if that's her stance, when everything's on the line, when you're in the army, then in a way, it makes my job easier to achieve by comparison. I've got the chicken's way out, haven't I? I'm a bit old for the army
You're
now,
doing
though.
your bit, Mick. You're doing your bit, and that is so important. If we all do our bit, little by little, we'll get to this amazing outcome. I'm a great believer in incremental change, and I think those small percentage points, if we do them consistently and do them well, they make a huge difference. And we look back and we think, crikey, we've come a long way, which is absolutely fantastic. So if somebody's now thinking about, well, where do I start? This challenge, I know, thank you, Mick, for letting me know. I've really got to do something about it, but it's like a tangled piece of string. How do we get this unraveled in a way which, to be fair, don't know which way's the place to start? Where's the beginning? Where's the middle? Where's the end? How do you help with people to actually get that unpicked and take them on the journey to a successful outcome?
I think the best start from this is what we as a nation will always say when offering advice is that education and understanding the issues. And as we try to help businesses, and which is what we do in the Green Accountants, and you mentioned Sustainability Suite, which was a business that we founded to take the products and the methods of the Green Accountants and put them into a white label solution so that other accountants could do the same with their clients. This is a collaborative effort because in the long run, we will either all win or we will all fail. This is a in the short term there'll be some winners and losers, but in the long term, humanity is the ultimate outcome here. And so we want other accountants to take these products that have been set up so that they can use them with even more businesses. And the more businesses, you can imagine the carbon footprint of the SME space. It's huge. But if you could make a 5 to 15% reduction on just the personal carbon footprint, which is what the Carbon Literacy Project suggests is the result of just attending a carbon literacy course. If you could apply those numbers and more to businesses, then it's a huge reduction on our national carbon footprint. So it's really important that we look to keep driving that change, and that's why we're having a bigger impact through the sustainability suite. Going back as to the issues that you were mentioning, and where do people start? Carbon literacy. What we found was that businesses didn't understand the issues, so we wrote two courses. So the first was carbon literacy for accountants and advisors, and the second was carbon literacy for SME owners and managers, so that you're educated, you get it, and from there you can then start to deal with the problems. So I think it sounds obvious, but it's the best way to go. And the courses that we've written are accredited. There are all kinds of other courses specific to sectors. If you look at, I saw Carbon Literacy Awareness Day just recently got almost 4,000 people carbon literate on one day, and Ed Miliband, on behalf of the government, was congratulating the project for what they've done. And it's a fantastic course, not just the ones that we've written, although ours are specific to accountants and SMEs, but it's quite an emotional course as well because the realization of some of the things that are going on. But it encourages action, so it's great to be involved with that. And then you can go on to the next steps, which is how do you shape your business for this changing world? And I think, simply put, two questions. How will my business be affected? And number two, what am I going to do about it? And then we will help people, help businesses and business owners and managers to get that journey going. And as we've taken businesses along that journey, they've had fantastic changes. It's great to see. And they go, I get this now, which is probably the most rewarding part for me, is when someone says, I get this and I'm doing it. And then you see the results of them getting it. So yeah, that's the journey. There are things like the annual impact assessment, which will become a norm, which is like the annual accounting of the whole ESG or sustainability movement. And that's where accountants can help. But I think if you're in business, then you become used to it, and it means that things are embedded. These actions are embedded in your business. Then it's really important that you tell the story. Don't keep it a secret. Tell your customers or your prospective customers, because now you're a great business. And so when you tell that story, they get it. They can make a choice. And if you're not sure how to tell the story, guess what? We have the team now that's growing. 1, 2, 3, 4 people now telling stories for businesses. So
Yes.
that's the impact that has grown from one person 3 years ago. We've now got 4 people helping to tell the story.
And that's set to grow because this is about the differentiation, that
Yes,
people are taking on board what they're doing and actually saying, yeah, well, you know what, now we can shine a head and shoulders above the people in our sector who haven't done this. And that's why, as you
yes,
said, I love that phrase, born green, going bust, because you're either in one of those three categories. And it's a very succinct but very powerful message to say to people, you've got to get on board this. whatever your feelings are towards it, put them to one side and get on board, have a chat with Mick, because this is something that won't wait and can't wait. And it's really good that you're there helping people. I'd like to go back because you mentioned accountancy practices, accountants. Could you take us through if there's an accountant listening and thinking, well, how does that apply to me? Could you just unpack how you help accountancy business to actually take on board and help their clients and also for themselves as well?
Yes, of course. I guess I should say first of all that I've been an accountant for many years. It was about 1991 when I qualified as a chartered accountant. And that was after being groomed for life to be an accountant. So I'd done all of that. And I understand what it's like because I set up my own business, what it's like to set up a business and the kind of help and support that makes sense. And I've always tried to build that into my work with clients. And so then for other accountants, faced with the challenges of, yes, there's a different world coming along. It's moving steadily along, but also your old world of doing compliance work is under threat. And you'll hear a lot of consultants to the accounting industry who've done the analysis there say what the workload of the future looks like. And so many of the routine things are now being handled by AI that you've got to, in a way, find other things, but actually find more meaningful things. So if you're an accountant who is feeling that you've done enough tax returns and enough sets of accounts, leave that to the computers in future and get real with your clients. And it's quite a challenge because as well as not being trained, certainly my generation in business, and I think that's consistent that we don't do a lot of business training on the accountancy schools. We do debits and credits. You also, besides business training, you don't get any training in offering consultancy work. That's something that people tend to jump into. Okay, the bigger firms will offer advice and support on that. But for the vast majority of bookkeepers and accountants in the UK, we've not had any training on consultancy work. And so it might seem a bit daunting. And we were thinking about that as we built the program that we were using within the Green Accountants and how we could then make it available to other accountancy practices or bookkeepers and accountants, the whole sphere. And so we tried to make it as simple as possible and step by step so that you're looking at your computer screen and you're just asking questions. Consultancy, it seems, is knowing that it's not about having all the best answers, it's having the best questions and being able to put those and to bring out the comments from your clients. And that's what the programs that we've developed do. They ask those questions. And if you, okay, it helps if you've got a little bit of knowledge and the confidence that comes from the carbon literacy course, which, we wrote specifically to address that issue. But when you start talking, because let me give you an example, perhaps the best way of doing this. One of my colleagues, Alex, who joined us straight out of university, came on work experience and got the job after one day because he's brilliant. Uh, can you edit that bit out, by the way? So,
No, he's due a pay rise now. Sorry. Alex, the check's in the post. Good.
so we built it around Alex, who's fresh out of university, and said, okay, if you were doing this, so you've not got accountancy skills, so how can we build this program so it doesn't require those? And how can we do it so that it's somebody who doesn't have a deep understanding of climate change? You've got just enough understanding to get through it, and that's the basis for the program within on programs and tools within Sustainability Suite, so that Alex can go and ask questions to an experienced business person. And we said, okay, let's say it's me. So Alex, you're going to ask me some questions. And you're going to say, okay, what have you got? What have you done so far with climate change? Or how might you be affected? To just start the conversation going gently. And at that point, once you got the conversation going, so 5 or 6 questions into it, and you say, oh, by the way, could you just explain your business strategy and what your plans are? because I'm thinking initially perhaps that Alex is fresh out of school. What does he know? He looks young, he's healthy, and he's a good-looking lad. But he's not got my experience in business. But then when he asked me, because I'm a bit more comfortable now about what my business strategy is, I can probably, as an SME, say, not very much, because I pause and I don't really have it. I just turn up, I just do it. That's what we do, and that's in a way, it's an unfortunate thing that our economy is driven by people with not much training and just being let loose into the world with a business and start employing people. It's no wonder that our success rates with SME businesses could be better because we don't do a lot of training. So now, though, now we've got if Alex's first question had been, "What's your business strategy?" Because I'm going to improve it, I'd have dismissed it. But now I'm sensing that there's a need to change and evolve. And I've got somebody that I like already because he's showing an interest in me and my business. And I feel comfortable talking to him. And when he asks me the questions that he's going to ask me because it's built into the program, it's not condescending. He's not being a prat. They're good questions and they're open ended, encouraging me as the business owner to speak about the things that I can see happening in my industry. I might, if he was asking me as an accountancy practice, which is what we'd like to do with the people that start using Sustainability Suite, we'll give them a trial run on their practice, offer them some help and assistance. So question one might be, what's happening with your industry? What are the trends that are going on? And I might mention AI, and I might mention sleepless nights and it's hard work. Keep going at such a pace because we have to now respond within hours or within minutes to some of our clients. It used to be in the good old days, you'd send a letter and another one would come back a month later, and that's how it worked. But now it's instant, and it's the pace is a challenge. But step back from that and treat yourself to a day where you're thinking about where's my business going? How do I get off this roundabout and get into something that is different, more meaningful, and in the end, more valuable?
Mm.
And and when I say that, people say, "How is my business going to be more valuable?" So I'm going to point to the Deloitte, the Purpose Premium report, where they said that businesses could be up to 4 times more valuable. And it was that kind of phrase, up to or will be on average 4 times more valuable. And people, oh, you just made that up. That's a stat. But when we've done our own research and we plot out, this is part of our carbon literacy course, we plot out the value of a market leader in the vehicle manufacturers, and that's Tesla, and say how many other companies are required to be added together to achieve the value. And bear in mind, this is public listed companies, so these are true values. And you quite often get 5, 6, or 7 of the next biggest competitors. So Toyota at number 2 over a long period of time, make less money, have less sales than Tesla. And then you get the rest all thrown together. So the big German car manufacturers, some of the other Japanese. And you think, actually, real world example, that their profits are way more than Tesla's, but because of the way that Tesla have gone about enhancing the alternative fuel market, they're far more valuable. Whatever you think about Elon Musk, and I know, it's very much Marmite, isn't it, that people love or hate, I guess, with Elon Musk. And most of us have now heard of him and have to form that opinion. But that's what happened. It's a real example, and we're seeing this all the time now. So that companies with the B Corp certification are now more valuable. Whether that's because people just think, I want to buy in a solution into my company, and they kind of cheat a little bit. But I actually think it's not a bad strategy, because the sooner you can get on board with being a better company, not just climate change, but everything ESG, then the sooner you will change your organization, the way that you do it, and not just more valuable, but a more enjoyable place to work.
Absolutely. And then bringing it back to the accountants, as you were talking about tendering, getting contracts from local government, from the NHS, and this whole issue about not just looking at the person that's put the tender forward, but also their suppliers. As an accountant, you are a supplier. So
Yes.
who's who's going to be in that accountancy space thinking to themselves, we could be missing out on business because our potential clients that we want, if they use us, are going to fall foul of this new legislation, or legislation's been out a while maybe, but it's still something that's having an impact because we are not B Corp, or we're not certified, or we're not doing something from our climate change policy. Could you delve into a little bit more about that? Because I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. The immediate impact is the first of the three categories in the born green, going green, or going bust, and that's the born greens who are naturally attracted to us. And so we've got people that come to us and say, "I've heard what you're doing. Will you be my accountants?" Because it aligns with what I do. I'm the green solicitor. I'm the green architect. Whatever it is, they pick us for that. And I think that's what, as an accountant, you can expect more business because you're promoting this story. But the other side of this risk equation is that you lose clients or you don't win the clients that you wanted to do. When we do carbon literacy, we talk about examples of wins, losses, or the hold, not hold. You know, who's kept hold of a business because they've got a carbon reduction plan that they'd otherwise have got rid of. And there are some fantastic examples of those situations that are happening, I guess, now every day, where that those questions that we talk about on the procurement processes are real and they're being achieved, or coming into everyday impact. And for accountants, there's every chance because people will look at the supply lists that they've got and they're going through them. And I know this from the stories and one of the big banks, what they did for their subsidiary and who the subsidiary company sacked. You know, to get rid of your cleaners because they've not got a carbon reduction plan. I can imagine the cleaners being quite blasé, saying, "I'm a cleaner. What do I need a carbon reduction plan?" But when one of your biggest customers is a big international bank, then getting sacked is a big chunk of your turnover, a big chunk of your business. So when a cleaning firm gets sacked, you think nobody's exempt. And so why should accountants be any different? But I also think there's another issue in that one of the key elements is carbon accounting. And that's the counting of your carbon footprint, and then with a view to doing something about it. And all the major software providers are now building carbon accounting tools into their basic bookkeeping tools because it's easier to count the carbon footprint by using the tool that's got all the expenditure in there. So that's the best indicator of things that you've been doing. And if it's carbon accounting, it contains that keyword. Obviously, it's the exciting word of accounting. And so people are almost expect, well, should my accountant be helping me with this? Well, if the accountant's not going to do it, it's not that it's going to go elsewhere. It's going to a different industry. Yes, there are carbon scientists, but they perhaps go to a different accountant to help them with the issue of how we do carbon accounting. So,
Yes, it's wheels within
so
wheels, isn't it?
yeah, so
Absolutely.
that's an example of why accountants need to get on board and need to understand this. Because if somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to these guys because they do carbon accounting," not just the exciting accounting that you've traditionally done for 500 years with debits and credits, this is the good stuff now. And
And isn't
yeah,
it great that, with every challenge comes an opportunity? As I said, this is what this podcast is all about. For accountants worried of the fact that, the AI element of the work, and the fact that, it's going to become cheaper, it's going to become quicker. And then it's like, well, where is my value proposition as a practice? Having something
yes,
like this future proofs, or can actually help to future proof your practice moving forward. Because if you're now ahead of the curve, like the green accountants like yourselves, you can actually go out there and promote that as part of your offering as the value add to your client. And then the synergies is that, well, you'll need us anyway, because to get the tenders and contracts and who want, in the SME space, you'll need to have that proof that we are green certified, that we're following that code of conduct as your supplier. So it's a beautiful, circular, value-based proposition that I think that accountancy practices who are thinking, should I, shouldn't I, have a chat with Mick, because there is definitely a way forward to really, really help your clients add value, but also for yourselves to protect and future-proof. With another thing that I think we really need to touch on is the challenge of recruitment in business. As we're scaling up, so many people are saying it's very difficult to get people with the right work ethos, very difficult to get people with the right credentials that are willing to be there for the right money, and that I want to retain talent because there's a churn now that is increasing within people. Often the side hustle that they're doing is more than what they're making in the real job. It's just like people are expecting different things from employers. How can being a green organization working towards green sustainability actually help you to attract and keep the best talent?
Well, we've seen it ourselves, and I used to talk, or when I did talks, I would ask the question, who's had anybody join them because of their green credentials, and the answer was pretty much nobody. But now, when I look back at the last 10 people that have joined us, eight of them have specifically said it was because of what we're doing. They'd heard about us and they wanted to be a part of it. And in the last, the last 3 weeks, where we've had two students come to us and say, "Can I spend some time with you?" And that's a great feeling that you're now getting people that want to work, and you know them when they come and join you. They're going to be enthusiastic about this because it matters to them. They're not doing accounting because somebody suggested it would be a good career choice for them. My careers advisor and my parents said to me, it's a good career, but now it's a career that matters. And I think, whilst career expectations or people will stay with you for 2 years and then look to do something else, when you're on a mission, people want to be part of that mission, and we give them every opportunity to go out and to flourish, because this is a new area. And in the SME space, they can do it, but they don't go out and work and think, "Oh, how am I going to do this?" They're supported, but they're supported because everybody else is on the mission, and collaboration is fantastic, which you get anyway. If you like, within Manchester or the towns in the northwest where I go to events, the collaboration has replaced competition, because people understand, particularly young people, but it's not limited to young people. We understand the issues, and we all win or we all lose in the long term. So you get fantastic support. And for the team to have 8 out of 10 of the last team members to join us, imagine the recruitment fees that we've saved. Sorry, recruiters, but get your stories straight, and people will come and join you and then stay with you.
Well,
So,
also, I mean, skipping the agencies here because they do a very good job. But if we're thinking about the loss of knowledge, if we're thinking about what that person means, and then the relationships that they build with the ecosystem that they're within, and then that has to be forged with new links, and you lose that when they go. This has very much a bottom line impact to the business. And so, from a commercial perspective, keeping and retaining good talent and bringing them with this mission. And I think you're absolutely right with what you say, the mission, not just a Mary Fairy mission statement that's a few lines and it's put on the wall, but a real mission that, you are in the process of saving the planet. You are in there in the long haul, getting down and dirty to make sure that you're actually you playing your part. When anybody asks you and you go out socially, well, what are you doing? You can say, well, actually, I work for a firm that's doing everything they can, from the carbon footprint, the sustainability, the futuring of proofing of their business, coming up with new innovations, etc. That's something you're getting third party endorsement when people go out and talk about the experiences that they're having with your business.
yes,
And
very, very
thinking,
much so.
yeah, and then thinking about moving this business forward as a way of publicity and PR, and going out there as the trailblazers in your sector, even if other people are doing it, you can differentiate to say, well, what difference are you making? What would you say to people that think, well, what can I talk about that, sustainability, everybody seems to be on the bandwagon now. How have you, as your business, this sustainability suite and green accountants, how have you used this to actually impact your PR and marketing and your position as far as people getting to know and hear about you?
It's something that we spend a lot of time doing, and with the team growing from 1 to 4 people doing the marketing and just being made available, it's because I think that we can see the demand. So we're not just having to do PR and throwing stuff out there. We're dealing with people coming to us now, and okay, we keep the message going, and it's really important that we do build that momentum. So telling the story remains important and getting it out there as much as we can and using other accountants because as much as I would like to conquer the world in accountancy terms, that's an ambitious, you're always ambitious in business, and it would be great to help everybody, but we just couldn't grow quickly enough, which is why we want to leverage our industry and get other accountants to do this because after all they've got so many of the skills already, the analytical skills, the number skills, quite often the skills of communication. Accountants will, after getting over their nerves, and they'll look up and start talking to you. And and a lot of people that have gone into accountancy have done it because they like to help other people. And this is where you are really helping other people because you're helping them with their business issues in a changing climate. The paradigm shift is real. So helping people to adapt to that just makes you feel better. And that's what we see for our team. And then our customers will feel better about their businesses. But it's we struggle to get enough recruits on the technical side, on the accountancy side, because people in the accountancy world, I'm not sure about that. But we do have people coming now, and that's great. That word has got around that there is this opportunity to do the right thing, even in accountancy. Accountants saving the world. Who'd have
I
thought?
love it. I love it. Actually, this holistic thing with accountants, and I have to say, hand on heart, this is why I contacted you. I reached out to you because I saw green accountants and I thought, hang on a minute, that's a bit different. And it's that, and it suits my values because we're business process outsourcing and we're virtual. And also the podcasting and the training that I do is all virtual. And so the sustainability piece and the carbon neutrality that we have in our business is, well, we're born green. That's what we are.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely 100%. I went to from an industry where I was commuting into London every day, hour and a half, door to door, backwards and forwards every day, 3 hours a day in total. People used to use aircraft like they were taxis. I mean, it was just insane. And now I think, I've got the fact that I've positioned myself, I can walk to town, I can get to the shops. I've got a whole system set up so that I walk the talk because I just know that the sustainability piece, the carbon neutrality is so important. I live without central heating as well. So there you go. I've kind of gone the whole hog. But ultimately, this makes our business, people have stayed with me for years because they understand this process. And also, it's adding value, as you say, to what we're doing because we're not just any old VA business. We've got some really deep rooted missions that we're on, and it attracts like-minded people. And I would say to any accountant that's looking and thinking, how can I future-proof the practice with the onset of AI and other things as well that are challenging the business? This whole purpose and mission, as you say, it's so worthy. It's the right thing to do. So I would urge anybody, and Mick and I have no association apart from I just love what he does. Be in touch with him, have a chat with him. He's got national reach. It's not something that you just have to be based in the Northwest where he's positioned. National reach. This could have a groundswell, and all of a sudden you could think, I future proof my business for the next generations to come. and I'm attracting like-minded individuals into the practice that are going to carry on this mission. I just think it's beautiful what you're doing. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you, Mick. I just have to
Thank
say,
you.
God, I could cry now. I've got quite emotional. You said I might. You bring everybody to tears. Oh, brilliant, brilliant stuff. Oh.
Yes.
But
Then we know we've had an impact. So yeah.
oh, absolutely, an impact and a half, I tell you. So how can people get hold of you?
Okay. So LinkedIn, Mick Seddon. Obviously, it's me 5 years ago. So have a nosy at that. The websites, Sustainability Suite, and the Green Accountants. And well, I think that's a good start. But if you want to get in touch in any other way through the socials, as our presence increases there, then yeah, I'm happy to take anybody's call that wants to join in. And for every year that we can bring forward a business's carbon reduction plan, that's another year saved.
Do you know, it is just wonderful work that you're doing. Thank you so much. I feel blessed and honored to have you on the podcast because you've given great insight. You speak from the heart, you walk the talk, you are an impassioned believer and actually doing what you say on the tin, which is just wonderful. And the rest of your organization is as well, because as I say, birds of a feather flock together. You've got a wonderful team that's going places. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So, everybody listening, please do reach out to Mick, like, comment, subscribe. I have to say, every time, I just truly, truly appreciate your support. This is a platform to share the voice of business people around the globe into an international environment. If it resonated, fantastic. If you think it would resonate with somebody else, please share this episode, comment, like, subscribe. It's just wonderful to have you as a community. So thank you so much and be successful and see you all again next time. Take care now.